We're here. We made it. Our guest with us today, this evening, is Miss Saman Fatima. She comes to us for the cybersecurity space. Saman, welcome.
Thank you so much, Christopher. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to this conversation with you. Yeah.
We certainly are happy to have you join us and to explore with us in this particular episode of the Christopher Lafayette podcast show. Let's chop wood. In this present day of where we're at, when we talk about security, when we talk about all the different technologies that abide within the great ecohabitat of artificial intelligence and virtual and augmented mixed reality, with us becoming more interactive and more virtual in our communication, there's so much that I want to explore with you. And audience, you're with us today as well. But my first question, who is Saman?
Yeah. So, hi everyone, whoever is watching. My name is Saman Fatima, and I'm based out of India. Um, it's been a lot of years I've spent into this industry, and this has given me a lot of context, a lot of space to actually, have a perception about myself. So I graduated in 2017, and post then I've been working. Uh, Initially, I was a DevOps engineer. I was employed into the identity and access management space. And I worked there, understood the peripheries of how identities and accesses needs to be managed. How are they important? How are they considered as PI data? Something which should not be revealed back to anyone, which I wasn't aware of. And coming down from an engineering degree where I was very briefly exposed to cyber subjects, I got to know a lot of it. Like, a lot of it is still left for me to explore, but a lot of it got to be, explored by me with my first organization. And there I started up with my journey of cyber, being part of communities. InfoSec Girls being my first community, which I was part of, being the New Delhi chapter lead. And we did a lot of great sessions, events, and everything to make people aware of how is cyber a very, very integral portion of their lives, because internet is something which is being accessed by everyone, like from top to bottom. I can not say anybody is not using internet, anybody is not exposing their data. So that is something which side of awareness everybody should know. So we came down with breaking barriers, lean in circle, where we actually, envisioning women to leadership positions and other opportunities which they can get it from easily, like women supporting women. And there are other communities as well where major stand is given on cyber. How can people be more aware? So coming back to my journey, I was a DevOps engineer, recently been uh, I have changed my domains and became a data engineering into data engineer, and playing more with the data, because we have tons and tons of data, and how that can be utilized, analyzed in a way, can be redirected and reported to proper channels, proper departments, for everyone to get equal access and correct data to be used for. So that's pretty much a gist about me. Just to end this, like, someone who is very, very passionate about cyber, someone who wants to learn more about cyber, sustain and grow here, is, I would regard myself as. So that's pretty much about me.
Yes, yes, we see, and thank you. There's so many questions that I have to follow up with that, but I want to go back further. I want to go back to your native homeland, to where you build. Let's take earlier steps to journey. Tell me about India and tell me about your steps to make it to where you're at today?
Okay. So for me, it wasn't like like a struggle or something. I had to, put in a lot of efforts to come down to this section of, the cybersecurity domain. I would not quote it like that, but probably I did my engineering in information technology, and there I was exposed to a lot of cyber subjects, and those cyber subjects actually became a pillar for me, that okay, we have cryptography, something like that, how things work there, and different other subjects as well, where we learned more about what is cyber. And when it was exposed to me, it was 2016 at that time, which was a very very baby level for cyber in India, and how much exposure it had at that time. And then too, if I had got that opportunity, I feel I was lucky enough that my college, gave us that platform, that those subjects were actually introduced. So from there, then I sat in for the interviews of my like college interviews, and there I was only exposed to a lot of security jobs, only like into the cyber domains only of different organizations. And there I pitched in for my first one, where I worked into identity and access management. And from there I got a routine check. Okay, uh, this is the domain which I'm interested into. I want to explore all of the fields into it. And I just want to know, if I am working into identity and access management, what goes beyond application security, what goes beyond if somebody is working as a risk auditor or a pen tester, something of that sort. So that itself, that thought itself makes me learn more daily, through different channels. I know I don't have an official thing to learn from, but still, learning through communities, learning through different sessions given by them, is somewhere down the line, I think that yes, I am taking baby steps, but yes, there is growth there. And I would not say that being part of India gets me, lesser resources. No, uh, it has now become very widespread here. People are understanding the importance, and they are actually, bringing up more opportunities, more mediums for people to actually learn these, implement these things, and be like, the workforce should be more part of all these things and learn about these things. So
Of course, with what the growth that we see happening in Bangalore, Mumbai, and Hyderabad, so many different major cities, an industry of technology that's prolific in the growth and the great contribution of technology as a whole in the world. Let's talk and lean in more about India and talk about what you see in the world of cybersecurity in your field and what its contribution is native to where you're at, and if you're seeing any other strong progressive technologies that are arriving from India's shores.
um I would say I've come across a lot of people, a lot of colleagues, and people from different networking areas, where actually they're working onto a lot of things, a lot of new technologies here in India as well. And if you count it as darknet or machine learning or maybe artificial intelligence, we have people, we have the workforce, we have people actually working on all these things. But yes, I would strongly uh, pen down on that point as well, that there are lesser people exposed to all these resources. And because these are a lot of new topics, new technologies emerging. Like for example, we see the trend of cloud these days, and we see a lot of people doing cloud certifications, being exposed to a lot of cloud market, be it AWS or Azure or be it Google, and they're learning more and more. So we see a trend there. We see people actually learning new technologies, which actually are the future. Like tomorrow we'll have everything on cloud. And similarly, I guess there's progress there. There is technology emerging, and I would not say it's just like this XYZ technology is not here. We have the workforce, but yes, a little lesser. But still, there are people who are exposed to a lot of these things. Yes.
To be a woman in cybersecurity, I see often the great unification and in the community that's developed in cyber when it comes to women leadership. How has this come to be? Why now? Why are we seeing so many groups and organizations that I know that you're affiliated with leadership, with the need for the growth of women, empowerment, and impact? Bring us into that world. Help us, for us that are listening in this audience this evening, tonight. Tell us about this world and bring us closer into the benefits and the reality of why this is such. Please.
Yeah. That's a really great question, actually. That why do we have a lot of women supporting communities? Only women communities where they're holding circle meetings and growing forward and stuff like that. So I'll just go back to where I started from 2017, and that time I was part of the community InfoSec Girls, and that its aim was to actually envision women, make them aware about cybersecurity, how they have to be cyber aware and stuff. Similarly, on the same grounds, we have a lot of other esteemed communities as well. We have women in cybersecurity, uh, we have other women cyber jutsu as well, and a lot of endless amazing communities as well there, which actually work on the same grounds. But yes, we can never forget that fact that this particular industry is a bit male dominated. We have a lot of males being employed, and if you see in any organization, like if I give my example, the team I was into, we were just two females in a team of 15 men. So that's pretty much the ratio there, that we have lesser number of women in different teams. And this is somewhere down the line, these communities are actually giving them a place, a safe space to talk, come forward, learn more about being amongst women pushing them forward, women leaning towards them and giving them that platform that actually they can come out, be more aware, be more vocal, learn more about cyber things. And that is why we also struggle to see a little lesser number of women at leadership positions as well. So these are few things which actually a community actually makes you bring forward, and makes you grow towards that aim, and makes you more confident that you can also do it. And this is somewhere down the line you can also learn different fields and be more part of it, be there, be cyber aware, be part of it. So that's why this particular community that we came up with, breaking barriers, lean in, is somewhere on the same grounds that we have that envision of women at leadership positions, women to actually break all these barriers, the stereotypes which comes their way. So these communities are probably now for these stereotypes as well, because we have now a lot of women into workforce now. I will not say now that they're not aware, they are now. It's just little lesser ratio is still there in teams, but we see a lot of amazing women now coming out, emerging as great leaders there. So yeah.
Remarkable, fascinating, powerful. Let's journey for a moment to the deeper side of cyber. Let's pretend I know nothing about cybersecurity at all. I'm a new attending student on day one. And I read and hear often about the words safety and privacy. Safety and privacy. Now, in my mind, I could think of a number of different things under the banner of safety and privacy. But from your professional and expert lens, what is safety and privacy?
Okay. So being part of cyber, one has to be private, one has to be safe, not entirely, but at least with their data, which they do not need to expose to. So first and foremost, if somebody or you are a newbie and you want to learn what is safety, privacy, and I know you don't want to, but yes, let's just assume that that's something a very big surprise for the audience as well. But yeah, so first and foremost, one has to actually realize that what all they are putting across on the internet, what all they are revealing to the global community, is it something which he or she should not be, which is something very private to them? Like they should understand the depths of sharing their email ID outside. They should understand the importance of it. Like deep diving into a lot of technical stuff can come later, but these are very basic things one should be aware of, that what as per the current scenario is uh, a private data to me, like my name, my address, my blood group, my social security numbers. These are all private information which I should not reveal it to anybody like that. Like I've just written it down and given it. Be it for the passwords as well. We're going too far with the social security numbers. People actually put down their passwords on a sticky notes and stick it on their laptops. I just don't want to, but I've seen a lot of people doing it. A lot of people probably do it till now. They save it into notepads, not password protected, no passwords manager. So somewhere down the line, such kind of awareness has to be spread across for the newbies, which is very important, because these things hold a very confident hold very confidential information, and these are only the basic stepping stones for hackers to actually pull down all your information. So one has to understand the emotional aspects of how they can be trapped due to these information only. If I just take an example of cookies, uh, some people just click on accept all cookies. They don't understand the negative aspects of cookies as well. So these are very basic things which every one of us see every second on our screen if you're using internet. So putting our information everywhere and things of that sort, these kinds of awareness has to be spread. And safety and privacy starts from you, as like from us only. Like if I don't share my information doesn't goes forward. So somewhere down the line, if everyone is not sharing their very private things, like the things which I've just mentioned, is something one should not do it. Passwords and everything should be kept to ourselves only. That is why they come down as asterisks and bullets, and not we can see our passwords. So there, everyone has to understand the gravity of all these information, what they hold and what they can be doing against you.
Azure, Google Cloud, AWS. We've never been more dependent in technology on the cloud in the history of backed up stored data and transference than we are today. Saman, how safe do you perceive these cloud systems to be?
I guess it'll be too early for me to take any sides as such, because because we're still, I guess, transitioning into cloud. We're not like, if I talk about just myself and how much I'm exposed to in my organization, I've been exposed to AWS services, but it's just my personal passion that I want to understand the difference between the all three. how they are different from each other. They're all cloud services, but how they're different from each other. So that is why I did the Azure basic fundamentals search, just to understand the gravity of how it's different from the AWS one, which I'm working on. What are the different services? Like, how can I differentiate between them? How one is best, comparison, stuff of that. So probably I've worked on Azure and AWS, and I have certain grounds which I can talk about. So I guess there are a lot of positives there. They provide a lot of, services, which is, I would not take it much into deeper areas, but there are a lot of services which they offer, and they're really amazing because I work on them and I know the manual method as well. But since after these services, I know how it's actually transforming a workforce, a team, an organization by pulling that all database information and everything on the cloud. But yes, we cannot deny that every coin has two sides. And like we said for internet as well, that it has its own positives and negatives. It gives us a lot of information, but yeah, takes it back from us as well through different means. So same goes for cloud as well. So we have different setups there. We have a lot of data being exposed there, and how that data can get compromised to sources which it should not be, is somewhere down the line. There lies a bleak line there with cloud as well. But yes, too soon for me to answer more here. Like, there are a lot of positives. I can pen down like 2 3 pages of positives there. I know there are a lot of positives, but the negatives are yet to be explored there. How data is handled at an organizational level on the cloud, and how once it gets affected, if it gets hacked or something, that cloud services get hacked, how it can take a bad picture there. So if you have a hub of your data there, so that's pretty much ugly it becomes.
And so the jury's still out. I believe the whole world is still figuring out exactly the cloud and its greater impact, especially now that we've gone more into a remote hybrid work world. We've all been introduced to a case study, and everyone had to participate in these last 18 months during this pandemic that's still abound in some areas of the world. It's gone into an endemic. What are your thoughts now that most people are working at home, or many rather, I shouldn't say most. Many people are now working at home, away from the office, and a lot of the security that corporate infrastructure could provide natively. Are we now more vulnerable from working from our homes when it comes to technical communication and distribution?
We are we are yes, we are at a very vulnerable stage. Yes, I would say that. I'll not quote it very exactly, but I've heard of instances as well, that a lot of data has been leaked from a lot of organizations from home. And that is why we come down to the concept of using the organization's VPN, and not some other random networks we should employ to. So working from home, because I will just quote it as, because human is the weakest link. We should never forget that. In an organization, there's always an insider threat. And we always focus a lot on the external factors, that this attack, that attack, man in the middle, this, that, all sophisticated attack terms. But we can never forget the human factor here, that certain data moves to and fro, and a lot of client information goes into bleak, leaked somewhere down the line. Something very red data goes out of the organization. So this work from home or the hybrid structure, uh, actually was helpful, yes, because of the pandemic. But yes, it has its own repercussions as well. And there's more chances of losing your data. There are more chances of getting getting into yourself those spaces where you are actually into that death of losing data. uh, which should not be, because in an organized, I would not say in an organization, when you work from office, that doesn't happen. We have seen a lot of instances that data leaks happen there as well. But yes, the work from home structure actually makes you more vulnerable towards all these things, because you are in your own comfort space. You can travel anywhere, you can be anywhere and be working. And if you are not properly, looked upon to the, the same, what do you say, the networks and everything is something which is under your control, then a lot of data can be leaked, a lot of data can go to and fro and stuff like that. So work from home is a very vulnerable state for a lot of people. And losing data is something very, very crucial here. So that can be easily done. And yes, sooner the later we come out of this end, from pandemic we came down to the endemic stage, and now if we come down whole out of this COVID scenario, then probably we will know a better stats there, that what was actually the ratio of how much data from which organization went to and fro here and there. Because I've heard a lot of instances here in India, a lot of organizations been happened, and the concepts of VPN and everything was then pressurized at certain organizations, that to be used and to be employed there, or people will rather call to office only, that probably you will be working from the safe space only, where things could be tracked down, because through different locations, geolocations changes, tracking is somewhere a little lesser possible, because people are spread across the globe now, and we don't know how much data is going where. So that's pretty much the point.
My goodness. Saman, let me ask you. In the world of cyber, this is a fairly large ecosystem of all different areas to explore and that you can build upon and that you can do. What makes you most happy in the cyber ecosystem? Where do you feel strongest at? What is this passionate connection? I believe with all technology that's being developed and built, that people have intuitive and creative and cultural centric humanity tie ins, relationships to what they build and what they do and for why they do it. What is the passion for you in cyber?
I guess for me, cyber has been the integral part of my life. I cannot cut myself from this particular domain. Uh, I don't know what is actually the driving point, but whenever I sit down, I take a session, I learn something new, I read a news, I really get connected with it. And I would not say I know all the fields of cyber. No, I'm no expert there. I have worked in few and know a few of them. But I don't know, I just get connected with the topics here, with, people attacking each other through systems, this attack, what went behind it, and stuff like that. How actually we are auditing things, how things are placed on cloud and can be attacked, cloud security and stuff, machine learning coming into picture, and how we can incorporate these latest technologies there. So these things actually excite me a lot to learn. And that learning mindset is actually making me be more passionate about this particular field. And I've met such great people, such great like-minded people, through being part of communities. And that networking actually pushes you, seeing people growing in certain fields, then you learn about all these new things. And somewhere down the line, you are increasing your growth scale. You may not be the master for that particular domain, but at least you know what is going on in the world, what technology is emerging. I just don't want to sit here and just say that, okay, I don't know the new name of Facebook. No, I don't want to become that particular person, but I just want to be aware about this particular domain, and how, you know people actually get shocked that a toaster can also be attacked and stuff like that. But that really makes me more passionate about these things, that when I look upon to toasters, Alexa and everything, I see that no, these are all security, cross terms, a lot of things can go beyond it, can be taken from there. So this is just the interest, and I have this interest into this field to learn and be more part of it through the time every day. Like, I feel every day should be productive. Every day I learn certain new technology, certain new terms, something a friend called and told about an attack. So that is also a learning in itself. So these things really keeps me going for this particular domain, and keeps me, I haven't been detached from cybersecurity. I can't. If I somewhere down the line, fingers crossed, I change my fields, that I'll never do that. But if I do that, I'll always stay connected and learn more about it, because that's something I am more passionate and interested into. So that's the, yeah, interest.
Audience listening, Saman, how do we tell someone that's listening to us right now, how do we tell someone that has such desire to want to do different, or they've never done much in their careers at all? Where do I start? How do I get involved in the cyberspace? Is this going to take me years and years and years to get involved? If I make the commitment in my heart and I want to work and experience the things that you experience, where do I go?
Okay. So, for this particular field to deep dive into, one has to be, first of all, you just have to have that eye, for the details. Like, if you're not interested in all these things, like what I mentioned previously, if those things drive you crazy, like how can these things happen? If you have these expressions and stuff like that, this is somewhere down the line you would read more on your own. And apart from that, I would say, if you are a newbie, if you're starting into this field, and if you know nowhere to go to, I would say networking is the best place to actually start with. Be more participative into communities, because now communities have taken such a shape that they'll only push you forward. They will, groom you in a way that maybe probably you yourself would not be able to do it. I'm not being 100% sure, but yes, communities have given me a shape that I would not have done it myself. The paths I have followed through being part of enormous communities, it's not just one or two. I've been part of a lot of communities, a lot of people I have seen. And when you meet the right people, the like-minded people, when you connect with them, the magic happens actually. And it's not just, you cannot keep yourself into a shell. Learning always has to be done into teams. You learn a lot about these things, and it's not just cyber only. A lot of things comes into picture when you actually be more participative into communities. You learn about a lot of other things going into the gravity of how things actually take picture. So I would say, be part of communities, be more vocal about all the things which you see. Start from very basics, aware yourself on these terms, what are actually these terms. Don't just deep dive into difficult terminologies. You're studying about penetration testing, but you don't know about the CIA triad, so that makes no sense at all. So just start from the basics, that what is actually cybersecurity to you? How can you relate yourself to cybersecurity? If one has to ask you about these questions, how would you pull yourself down, that cybersecurity to me is this, like fill up the blank. And then the communities actually shape you in a way that will be part of a lot of sessions, events, conferences, and then it just you will move forward. There's no coming down from it then.
With just a few questions left, although I feel that I can spend all this day and night with you. and asking you so much about what you've said, let me ask you, what have been some of your biggest barriers in your growth and obstacles, and how were you to overcome them?
There were, as I said, that this particular field is a lot male dominated. So in my first organization, I was being, misjudged on a lot of decisions I take, a lot of questions being put up on my learning and how I take decisions and stuff like that, being the youngest on the team. So those were few things which, I would say should not be done with a fresher, especially with somebody who just has started their careers. And because that creates a very negative impact, on all these things and all these grounds. And those judgments actually were the major barriers there of, be it recognition of or moving forward. And the thing which always made me go past them was actually just don't stop. It's your life, your learning, your growth. People on the sideways will judge you. And yes, probably a lot of amazing people, when they came up into my life, they taught me this concept, they mentored me on these things. And now I'm pretty much confident that I don't care what others think. If something I am getting to learn on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, anything of that sort, if I am contented, it's fine. If others, because you cannot keep everyone happy. That's the fact. You cannot take everyone together. And if it's something that concerns your growth, it's just don't stop, keep learning. That is something which will take you towards your goals which you have. And be more vocal about things, be more confident about your learning. So these are pretty much few things that I have learned across my 4.5 years of industry experience. And judgments is something that, yeah, that was the major barrier there. So these things you just have to just let go of, let it be. Just don't cry it over, don't stop your learning, just move forward.
Emotionally expressed. Saman, with our final question in our journey today, what's the most important thing that we should know about you and in business?
About me, um, one thing I guess across the conversation, one would have understood that I'm very passionate about cyber. So somewhere, if want me to be more inclusive, and that is somewhere you will find me. And I am a major you know the flag bearer of diversity and inclusion and equity and everything that goes around. And you know I always believe that what you do, you have to give back to the community, and that will somewhere down the time, to and fro, come back to you as well. So I guess I'm very open to people, connecting with me on social channels. I just want to know more about people, what they're doing and stuff, and collaborating with them, learning new things. Like, just I take an example. I've just met you a couple of weeks before, and learning more about people like this, that really helps me a lot of how people are actually, growing into a separate space of how they're taking things forward and bringing it to the community in the front end. So that is somewhere down the line. If I am inclusive in those spaces, you would find me in a lot of these spaces as well. And I really get excited if it's about cyber and stuff, and anything about diversity and inclusion and stuff like that. So you'll readily see me there somewhere. So that's pretty much me. Yeah.
We hope we always see you there leading the front lines in this very rapid and growing, expansive cybersecurity space where undoubtedly it needs more women leadership. Audience, you've heard it for Saman Fatima. Saman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Christopher, for having me. Really loved my time and great end to Friday. Yeah.
And to our audience, we encourage you to have a better understanding of cyber, to explore, to understand what's being happening with every device and interaction that you have, how vulnerable we are, and that our heroes behind the circuitry, beyond the cloud, are helping us keep safe with our daily interactions. We hope that everyone's keeping safe and well. Thank you for joining the Christopher Lafayette podcast show. We certainly look forward to exploring and chopping more wood with you in the future. For now, good night.